Hello viewers, my name remains Ajiboye Olada Ochiko, and I welcome you to the Global Tutor Virtual Class. We are still looking at our Jamb revision, and we have been looking at coordinate geometry. So today we want to look at a subtopic called gradient. The subtopic called gradient. Now, if I have a point x1, y1 and x2, y2, and I'm asked to find the gradient of the line that passes through this point, the formula is this: gradient equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you apply this formula, what you resolve to is what we refer to as the gradient of a line. Note something: if I have a line, for instance, this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. If a line slopes this way, the angle theta tan theta is also referred to as gradient. Now, one thing you should note is this: if a line slopes this way, the value of the gradient will be positive. If a line is parallel to the x-axis, the value of the gradient will be 0. If a line is parallel to the y-axis, the value of the gradient will be infinite. And if a line slopes like this, the value of the gradient will be negative. So we have 4 different slopes. A line is parallel to the x-axis, the gradient will be 0. A line is parallel to the y-axis, the gradient will be infinity. A line slopes like this such that it meets with the positive angle of the positive side of the x-axis, then the value of the gradient will be positive. And the line slopes like this, then the value of the gradient will be negative. But just know that what, given 2 points, the gradient will be given as change in y over change in x. And what is the change in y? y2 minus y1, and change in x, s2 minus x1. And also know that what, gradient can be equal to what, tan theta, where theta is the angle here. That is what you need to know about gradient. Let's apply this formula to solve some examples in our work here. Let's apply the formula to solve some examples. We want to apply it to solve some examples. Now, example 1. Example 1. Find the gradient of the line that passes through this point 2, 5 and 5, minus 9. Find the gradient of the line that passes through this point. So you name it x1, y1, x2, y2. Gradient is y12 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So gradient is y2. What is y2? Minus 9 minus y1, 5, over s2, 5, minus s1, 2. So this minus this, minus 9 minus 5, that will give me gradient to be minus 14 over this minus this, 3. So you can leave the answer like that. Meaning the gradient of the line that passes through this point and this point is minus 14 over 3. Example 2. Now, in example number 2, we are asked to find the gradient of the line that passes through point minus 1, 2 and 2 comma, minus 3. How do you solve it? x1, y1, x2, y2. What is the formula? Gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what do we have? Gradient is y2 minus 3 minus y1, 2 over x2, 2 minus x1 minus 1. This x1 minus 1. So what we have is gradient equals minus 3 minus 2. That's minus 5 over minus times minus plus 2 plus 1. That's 3. So your final answer is minus 5 over 3. You can see how simple and short the questions can be. That is example number 2. Let's look at another question. Example number 3. We are asked to find the gradient of the line that passes through 1, 4 and 5, 3. 1, 4 and 5, 3. So what do we have? x1, y1, x2, y2. What is the formula? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what do we have? Gradient is y2, 3 minus y1, 4 over x2, 5 minus x1, 1. So gradient is this minus this, that's minus 1. Because 3 minus 4 is minus 1. Then 5 minus 1, that gives me 4. So the gradient of this is minus 1 over 4. So you can see in example 1, you can see in example 2, and example 3, how we can calculate gradient given the 2 points that the line passes through. Let's take one more example in this video, but don't forget, like our video, share our video, hit the subscription button so that when we upload a new video, you can be notified. And also follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Alright, so let's take the last example for this video. At times, we'll take 2 more questions. Examiners can be funny. They will give you the gradients and they will omit one of the points. For instance, I tell you, the gradient of the line that passes through points x, 4 and 5, 3 is minus 1 over 4. Find the value of x. That's the question. We are given the gradient. We have an unknown in the point. How do you solve it? Every mathematical problem has a solution. What is the point? X, 4. What's the second point? 5, 3. Now, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. What is the formula? The gradient is minus 1 over 4. What is the formula? Gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what do we have? What is gradient? Minus 1 over 4 equals y2, 3 minus y1, 4 over x2. What is x2? 5 minus x1, that is x. So at the end of the day, we have minus 1 over 4 equals this minus this, that's minus 1 over 5 minus x. This is just a simple mathematical problem, so we just cross multiply. If we cross multiply, we have minus 1 over 5 minus x equals 4 brackets minus 1. If we open the bracket, this times this minus 5, this times this plus x equals this times this, that gives me minus 4. So what do? We collect like terms. So x will be this one travel 5 minus 4. So your x is 1. You see it? So what happened in this example is that you are given the gradient and you have 1 point missing. So it is equally the same way of solving. Just applying the formula and looking for the unknown. In this case, the unknown point is what? 1. I hope you understand the solution, because we'll be applying this formula in solving Jamb question in my next video. Let's take one more example for this video as we round up. Let's take one more example in this video as we round up. This one, we're told to find the gradient that passes through this point. Examiner can be funny. They can give you alphabets. You are given 0, A and A, 0. You are asked to find the gradient of the line that passes through this point. Still the same way, x1, y1, s2, y2. Gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So gradient is y2, 0 minus y1, a over x2, a minus x1, 0. So gradient is 0 minus a, that's minus a minus 0, that is a. So a can cancel a, so you have gradient is minus 1, period. I hope I've been able to show you how you can apply the gradient formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 in solving question. In my next video, we shall be applying this formula in solving past question. So long.